So the old fan has gone. Stripped out the crank bolt, luckily managed to save it with a longer bolt. A lot of headache, well, would have been a lot more headache if the actual thread was gone in the crank. Slotted the A-arms, so they've moved back 1/4 of an inch to increase the steering caster to, I think it's 3 degrees or something like that, because that's a Borgeson, or Borgeson, however you pronounce it, steering box there. Now, to fit that, I had to pull out the alternator, pull off the headers, which meant pulling off the side pipe, which meant removing this rocker trim, which was an absolute nightmare. Yeah, that wasn't fun, and to be honest, there really isn't much clearance between the side of the steering box and this header here. So I'm kind of worried when maybe under acceleration it might end up hitting that, so it might all have to come out again and actually be notched. But if it has to be done, it has to be done. So there's that. Brakes are all, oh yeah, there was a leaking caliper, so that caliper was leaking, ended up just rebuilding it. But I mean, the way things have gone with this car, I think I'll just at some point in the future just rip out the whole lot and stick a Wilwood kit in, maybe the 6-pot calipers. Yeah, from this angle you can really see the flares. They just look amazing. They weren't fun to fit whatsoever, but they really have transformed the car. Still got quite a bit of paint on the front to remove. The hood was a complete mess. It doesn't look very nice. You can even see, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but there the fiberglass is really thin. So yeah, it's gonna need a lot of work. I think whatever car this came off in the past must have looked really nice with this red paint. This metallic red. It's also had a blower on it because that's all filler there, so it looks like someone cut a whole piece out of it. Must have been one hell of a car. Headlights are there, the electric headlight motors are there. I think I did that quite early on, so it's probably in the early videos. Still haven't found a replacement for that egg crate, which is unfortunately broken up there. That is such a shame because these are so expensive to buy. But yeah, it's whatever. You can see where I moulded the flares in quite nicely to the old, well, the front valance there. The front bumper never did fit quite right, so I think that's probably just like a cheap repro one. Chrome's not, I mean, chrome's alright, it's not very good. You can see some spotting in it, but I don't think these cars are ever perfect. I don't think they were perfect when they were new. So there's only so much you can sort of do to them without going silly. Need to sort out the rear ride height, so I fitted, oh actually, you can't see any of it, but there's QA1 coilovers on the front now as well. They were actually pretty easy. That was probably one of the easiest jobs on the car, because they literally just bolted in and nothing, apart from one ball joint that stripped out, there was no other headache with that. That was simple enough. Everything else has ended up creating another 3 or 4 jobs in the process, but it's just how it goes, I guess. O2 sensor for the sniper it's gone in there, so I can't weld. I don't have anyone who welds at the moment, so I've just used these clamps. Yeah, they don't look very nice, but they are stainless, so at least they won't rust. You can just about see it there. It's just a normal Bosch O2 sensor. But at some point I will just get a bung welded in, as the hole's been made. Again, more filler, so much filler. And also here, that's, yeah, the body is really rough. So the chances are I'm probably just gonna get someone to blow it over in primer and just leave it in primer for a while, because I don't even know what colour to paint it yet. New door panels. They weren't black, they were saddle, so I dyed them black, but I mean, you can see it wasn't very well, I haven't done a very good job. Yeah, I mean, they also didn't fit very well. It took hours and hours and hours to sort of heat them up and get them to fit. You can see there, like, there's a massive gap. There's only so much time you can put into this. It's been what, well over a year now, a year and 4 months I think since the car arrived. I didn't expect it to take this long at all. I thought maybe 6 months it would be on the road. Yeah, the electric windows are all working now, so got relays under there, so it's all relay controlled as opposed to the power running through the switches. New handles are on there. Can't find one of those, that's quite a difficult piece to find. I've got the strip, the chrome strip for the deluxe door panels to go on there, and then maybe a piece of carpet. I'll have to sort something out there. New door ajar switch. No, that's not the door ajar switch, that's the, but maybe it is the door ajar switch, I'm not sure. Anyways, new switches on both sides. MSD 6AL under the dash. I fitted that obviously when all the old AC stuff was still there. In hindsight, I probably should have put it on in the engine bay on the outside, because there's going to be loads of space when that panel is blocked off. I think it's alright there for now anyway, all the wiring's done. I've obviously got the sniper screen. I don't know where it's going to go, but I do want to keep it because it looks quite cool. Pulled out the steering column obviously when doing the steering box, sprayed it black, looks quite nice. Not perfect, but it's whatever. Polished the horn button, that looks great. Horn doesn't sound very good, so I think it probably needs replacing. What else? Obviously new carpet, which needs to be replaced again because it didn't fit very well, and I made a massive mistake fitting it over there. You can see where I've cut it too short, but by that point I realised it was only good for the bin anyway, because it just doesn't fit at all. C5 seats are in. They look tatty, but it's fine. I've got brand new leather covers to go on them. Yeah, but we need new foam because the foam is completely knackered. Yeah, there's loads of stuff in the back. Took off the tint from the glass, which looks clearer anyway. These aren't original, these are obviously later ones that someone's cut, so I need to find 2 new ones of those. That's obviously from a 76, I think. I don't think the 71 had that courtesy light up there. It's not hooked up or anything, I just put it there because it looks better than having a big hole. Again, I think all this trim, this is all from a later car, so it doesn't quite fit right. But I mean, for now, it does the job. Both of these need, obviously that one's broken, this one is broken as well, that needs replacing. But I think that also means these need replacing on both sides, and they're not cheap. Handbrake still doesn't work. After replacing the cable, it actually got worse. For a while it did sort of hold the car, but yeah, it's just a standard C3 problem, isn't it? Shifters all in, new shifter cable. That was a nightmare to get it to go into third. Yeah, that wasn't fun. So yeah, when the vintage air is all fitted, there won't, I think, apart from the power brake booster and the PCV, there won't be any vacuum left on this, any stuff running off the vacuum on this car, which is great because I think the cam means that it produces a lot less vacuum than it needs anyway. Well, if it would have needed for all of the factory heating and all of that stuff, but that's all going. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the interior. Bilstein's shops on the rear, which you probably can't see. Oh, you can just about see them. 8-inch bolts, but I'm gonna have to go back to the factory at 6-inch because it's now too low. That spring is a combination of a 69 spring and pieces of the spring that came on the car, which was way too, the arch was far too big. That's why the car was too high when it came. But yeah, I think that pretty much sums up where we're at. Basically just waiting for the vintage air kit to put everything else back together, and then in theory it should be a turnkey car. Everything should just work. Oh yeah, new distributor, MSD blaster coil as well. Got new MSD plug wires coming because these are all the wrong length. The hood doesn't fit right. That was also a bit of a nightmare because I bought a later hood strut, which was the scissor type, thinking that the holes would line up, and they didn't. So I ended up just basically fiberglassing a bolt into the actual hood in the right position. Yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. It leaks. I know there's a leak here in here somewhere, so I'll have to figure that out as well. And then obviously paint, and in theory then it should be done. Oh, and then obviously the dashboard, all of the interior has been wrapped in leather with white stitching, which will match the new seat covers. So it should look quite nice when it's done, but it really is feeling like it's just dragging on now. A lot of time and an unreal amount of money, but sure is pretty.